Have you ever thought to yourself, or even said out loud, leadership would be so much easier if I just didn't have to deal with people? This has probably come to mind more often in the past 6 months dealing with all things COVID. You probably even had a nice long conversation with your best friend on that early morning walk. Many of our greatest challenges as leaders involve dealing with the perfections and imperfections of humans. Yes, ourselves are included here. So let us take you on a journey to humanness, or what we call human reliability. We all take risks. We make mistakes. Neither of these are bad things. And we perform in a variety of ways on any given day. While we'd each like to think of ourselves as amazing, consistent, and reliable, there are limits to our performance. Human factors such as emotions, priorities, work under pressure, fatigue, just to name a few, impact our effectiveness. On any given day, we experience these factors all at the same time. So, unearthing and better understanding our own habits of thought, conscious or not, is critical to upping our performance and recovering from setbacks. These are all good things to reflect on when you finally get that coveted spare moment. Behavioral influencers affect us all, invading our thinking and coloring the way we see a situation, often without our even knowing it. We will explore 8 of the most common ones that we experience in today's crazy and complex work environment, made even crazier by the pandemic. And yes, we said 8, but hang with us as we guarantee, by the end, you will be able to anticipate and better manage your performance. First on our list is time pressure. Most of us tend to think in terms of cause and effect relationships. Let's think about one we see quite often in the remote and not so remote workplace. You're working on a project with a tight deadline and are asked to provide some important information that takes time to access and analyze. You acknowledge the request and get to work. A short time later, you're asked again by the same anxious person if the data is ready, and then again, each time interrupting and distracting you from the task at hand. Frustration abounds and results in a drain on your time and energy. Second on our list is deterioration of planful thinking. Sounds pretty overwhelming, doesn't it? But to continue, with repetitive failures, there is often a marked increase in a person's willingness to bend the rules. And as failures continue, individuals may attribute all phenomena to a single cause, leading to blame and shame, that one bad person or that one big mistake. Staying open and exploring the problem in all of its complexity will lead us to much healthier conclusions. Number 3 on our list is confirmation bias. This is a fairly common bias, and we most often see it when someone looks for evidence that confirms their own thinking rather than evidence that could lead to a different conclusion. Information that you don't agree with or understand is quickly rejected as false. You owe it to yourself to stay open and seek out information that goes beyond your personal views. This doesn't mean you will necessarily change your viewpoint, but you should feel better knowing how you arrived at your conclusion. Moving on to number 4, simplification. This is the tendency to economize or simplify when planning without taking the side effects and long-term repercussions into account. As a result, the majority of the efforts go into treating the symptom rather than solving the underlying problem. We see many change initiatives that fit into this category, resulting in unresolved issues and unsustainable improvements. This ultimately leads to what we call a stupid gone viral waste of time, energy, and resources. Wouldn't you agree? Okay, we're halfway there, so stay with us. Number 5 is one we probably have all experienced, delusional optimism. This is the tendency to preserve an optimistic view of your own abilities and accomplishments and exaggerate your own talents. These individuals have difficulty learning from their errors, becoming defensive, screening out criticism, and push the blame onto others. They shut down their learning precisely at the moment they need it most. Be proud of who you are, own your skills and your failures, and learn to be authentic. Next up on our list is repair service thinking. This is the tendency to focus on the wrong problems and goals, neglecting the fundamental issues and their long-term impact. In other words, the tasks that become the focus are those that the individual feels competent doing and challenged by, with the reward of gratification of some success. The pitfall to this kind of thinking is that the fundamental problems continue while the repair person happily tinkers with the wrong issue. Staying comfortable is never fulfilling in the long term, so dig in, channel that inner fierceness, and take a risk. Now it's time for unlucky number 7, neglect to reflect. Successful individuals are those who are capable of approaching problems in a variety of ways, learning as they go. They are better able to make meaning out of their own and others' experiences as they recognize unexpected side effects from their earlier actions. When we neglect to reflect, we run the risk of being less authentic. So quite simply, you need to think about your thinking. And finally, outcome bias. This is the tendency to ignore risky everyday behaviors until there is a bad outcome. We often see this when individuals take shortcuts that help them perform more efficiently, such as not following the required steps of a procedure or a standard of practice. When these behaviors are ignored or tolerated on a day-to-day basis, they become normalized. Then when the disastrous outcome happens, everyone piles on and the person is punished without addressing the underlying risks and contributors. The end result is not good for anyone involved. So, that was quite the list. But keep in mind, all are so important to understand as we journey to human reliability. If these biases and tendencies are not managed, they can cause a misstep. We can be reliable, consistent, and on our game to a point, but can also easily get off track. So let us take you back to that peaceful walk with your best friend and have you reflect on tuning into yourself to anticipate and better manage your human performance, particularly in today's chaotic environment when there is so much at risk.